Welcome. This presentation is from our final of 4 town halls and is slightly different than our first town hall meeting. So we are including it in our YouTube library. At the beginning of our town halls, Wade Kibler made the introductions and presented this partial list of community activities and events that are held at Sierra High School, making it not just a school to educate our young people, but a community center for everyone. Just like at our other town halls, after our introductions, we led a school tour of several key areas needing work that represented the school as a whole. If you missed it, see the YouTube video on the walk around the school. This map shows each building and the year it was built. One fact that people outside the community are amazed at is that the newest building is 56 years old. The 6 areas visited during the tour included the library, admin building, the science lab, a restroom, the art complex, and the presentation center. We'll share these with you later, but more information can be found on our website, on this YouTube channel, and if you still have questions, they can be emailed to us. And now let us begin the formal presentation. Saving Sierra High. Are we being too dramatic with that statement? We think not, and believe everyone here realizes that the time has come for our community to come together and offer solutions, because no one outside of our mountain home is going to do it for us. That's okay, because one thing the Creek Fire reminded us is that we are mountain strong. At our first town hall, we were a little shy about using the word bond. By now, we've gotten over that. None of us like the idea of another tax, which we have fought as a community for years. But we are not a bunch of career politicians who are asking for your money, and once we get it, you're left wondering how it will be used. Just like you, we are parents, grandparents, and concerned members of our community who want to make sure we continue to have a strong high school that also serves as the hub of our community. Truly, it is our school, our say, in securing Sierra High's future. The tour was meant to give you some direct insights to the issues at our facilities. Let us take a brief second look at some of the top priorities. Virtually every building on the high school campus needs either repairs or replacements of roofs and ceilings. It is so serious that when it starts to rain, our facility team knows to drop what they are doing and get the buckets out. Students also quickly learn where not to stand and where the buckets go. Almost 1/3 of the proposed local bond revenue is needed just for roof repair and replacement. The American Disabilities Act is very specific on what is required for schools with regards to accessibility for disabled students and visitors. In August, an external ADA compliant audit was done and found over $500,000 of work that needs to be done just to make outside areas accessible. This does not include ADA issues inside buildings and restrooms. Floors and windows replaced, electrical systems modernized, internet capabilities, fresh coats of paint, along with walls and ceilings that need to be repaired and replaced, are all priorities for the classrooms and other working areas throughout the high school. One of the most common frustrations that is vocalized from students and parents is the state of our bathrooms, drinking fountains, and locker rooms. Making these areas ADA compliant, safe, healthy, and functional is a key priority. Cooling during the warm months and heating during the cold months is vital for setting the best possible learning and working environment. Efficiencies gained from newer HVAC systems also save on energy costs that will offset the estimated 2024 cost of almost $1.4 million. The only new construction project on the horizon is building a much-needed barn for our students' animal and fair projects. There are also several wells that need to be modernized, along with some asphalt road repairs. Improvements and repairs have also been identified for the welding and wood shops on campus. The funding of schools and districts in California takes a lot of study for parents and community members to fully understand and appreciate. The next few slides are only meant to give a very brief look at why normal funding doesn't cover most of the monies needed to repair and replace aging facilities. Sierra Unified is not alone in these challenges, and school districts across the state are faced with deteriorating facilities. The big picture is that most of the funding for schools comes from the state budget, with a lesser but substantial amount coming from local revenue sources. Revenue from the federal government and grants is limited, but every dollar helps. Almost all of these revenue sources pay for the operating of our schools on a day-to-day basis. It pays for the salaries, curriculum, and supplies necessary to open the classrooms to our students each day. When the Howard Jarvis Tax Initiative, also known as Proposition 13, passed in 1978, much of the funding for facilities disappeared, contributing to the decline of many school facilities over the past 40-plus years. The state of California currently calculates how much per student districts will get for funding. The name for this is the Local Control Funding Formula, or LCFF. There is a base amount with add-ons that consider the demographics of the student population. After the total funding level is calculated for the district, the total revenue from local property taxes is determined. The state then makes up the difference. Less than 1% of the schools in California can be funded without the state's help. These funds are designed to pay for the day-to-day operating costs of the schools. Listed around this wad of money are some of the expense items that compete against each other for budget dollars in every district in California. We've divided these up into three very broad categories that together make up a school's district budget. The first is salaries and benefits for all employees, both in and out of the classroom. The second category are operating costs that include most of the things listed on the slide. As we said before, it is all the things required to bring our students to school each day for a quality learning experience and return them home safely at the end of the day. The third broad category includes all the maintenance, repairs, and capital projects. These three broad categories make up the total annual budget. The previous slide put all the expenses a district may have into three categories that we showed in three equally sized circles. The truth is that this is misleading, and our circles should look more like this. The overwhelming majority of expenses for any district budget are salaries and benefits, and for all the people it takes to run our school system, including our hero teachers. Operating costs take up the next chunk of the budget. For the purposes of our slide, we've added the salaries and benefits of our facilities team in the much smaller circle that also includes the cost of maintaining and repairing our facilities. Since Proposition 13 passed in 1978, this is a typical scenario for most districts in California. There is good news at Sierra Unified. Our facility team has the desire and drive to do many projects themselves that other districts would pay a third party to do. There isn't enough of them to go around, but they deserve a lot of credit for the work they do daily. This slide shows some of the skills and experience that the facility team has. In some cases, like with the asphalt and roof coating applications, we have invested in the equipment necessary to allow us to do the work ourselves. The list does not stop with these skills. These are additional skills our facility team has. DSA stands for the Division of State Architect, which have oversight and approval responsibilities for major construction projects for all California public schools. When DSA becomes involved, there is an approval process that can often delay projects as new requirements emerge. The question about why we can't do many of the projects that are needed is often asked. The answer is our facility teams does indeed do many new projects during the course of a year, with this list being a partial example of recent accomplishments. The biggest challenge is that projects are often interrupted to handle unplanned events, such as the leaky roofs we mentioned earlier. Just like at home, there is always something that needs to be done. Our team prioritizes projects, repairs, and maintenance using 3 different strategies. The top 2 priorities are addressing health and safety concerns and issues that directly affect the learning that occurs with our students. After that, the other 2 strategies start kicking in along with the main list. What is the urgency level of the issue? Is it an emergency or something else? Other factors that may play into how quickly something is addressed is what is the team members currently working on at any given moment, and how long will it take for the issue to be corrected? We've already showed you some of the physical needs of Sierra High School. The monetary answer to why Sierra High School needs a bond is simple. Anyone who has remodeled their homes already knows how expensive it is. The state of California has strict rules for facility projects that make it substantially more costly to renovate and modernize to meet their requirements at higher prevailing wages. The simple answer to why we need a bond to measure is not an easy thing to say, but the fact is there are no substantial revenue sources that can pay for the projects that need to be done at Sierra High School except through a bond initiative. Sierra Unified School District is the only school district in Fresno County that has never had a school bond. Should our local bond pass this November, the red line represents where we would end up compared to other school districts. The 2024 Facility Master Plan identifies 7 key priorities which our trustees support. Health and safety items are on the top of the priority list, and each of these components includes some health and safety concerns. The Facility Master Plan estimates the cost of the project in 2024 dollars from several different perspectives. This is a summary of those costs. As you can see, most of the cost estimates are not for new construction, but for what is termed modernization. That term can mean a lot of things, but can be thought of as making our structures sound, safe, and reliable for the future. Under modernization, there are 3 systems listed. The site systems include everything outside but that are not part of a building. The exterior building systems include everything outside related to the building. Replacing and repairing roofs is a big part of this estimate. Finally, interior building systems include everything inside the buildings that make our classrooms run safely and efficiently in a way that maximizes the potential for learning. As we mentioned before, there is only one new construction project recommended in the master plan, the new barn at the Ag Farm. This is another breakdown of the total estimated cost in the master plan. This plan shows each of the areas around the campus and the estimated costs associated with them. It should be noted that as priorities are identified, those priorities may only represent a part of any one area's total estimated costs. For example, replacing and repairing roofs will be an immediate priority. The cost of that roof project makes up only a portion of the estimated cost for the area, and the balance might be related to other projects that will be done later. The master plan we have discussed is available in preview at our website. We also have a more detailed presentation of why Sierra High School needs this funding. The last part of the presentation takes a look at the bond measure up for vote this November. First, we'll take a look at how the bond measure will read on the ballot. It includes a brief description of the scope of the projects as we have discussed. What the amount of the bond will be, what the effect will be on property owners, and how the district will be held accountable for the funds from the bond. The bond measure is asking voters to approve $24,150,000, which is an amount that falls short of our needs identified in the master plan. To do this, it is estimated that property owners will pay about $45 for every $100,000 of the assessed value. This is not the same as what the property is worth in today's market and is usually substantially less than the market value. To show this, we chose 5 random properties throughout our mountain community and looked at Zillow's Zestimate of market value compared to Fresno County's assessed value. For example, a property in Auberry having a market value of $244,100 only has an assessed value of $53,981. The bond contribution for this property will be $24 a year. Where can you find out your assessed value? 2 places. The first is on your property tax bill towards the lower right corner where the value is summarized. You want to look for the net taxable value. You can also go to the Fresno County Assessor's Office website, enter your property information, and it will return your assessed value. An important part of the bond is the public accountability portion. A citizen oversight committee must be established within 60 days of the bond passing and being accepted by the trustees. Each year, an independent financial audit is required. In addition, a performance audit that makes sure monies are only being spent for what was approved to meet long-term goals is done. The Citizens Oversight Committee must be made up of at least 7 members that represent a cross-section of the community. It can't include any district employees. The annual financial and performance audits have strict state and federal guidelines that must be followed and must be made available to the public. Measure U and Prop 2.2 It's a mouthful, to be sure, but we believe it is the perfect marriage to be on the ballot. Proposition 2 will be on the ballot this November and promises $10 billion in matching funds for K through 12 schools and community colleges. Why do we need and want both? The Cliff Notes answer to the question, if we pass Measure U and if we pass Proposition 2, we can potentially more than double the $24.2 million provided by Measure U by having the required matching dollars to benefit from Proposition 2. If Measure U does not pass, the benefits from Prop 2 will be minimal, since we won't have substantial funds available to match against it. We will miss out on our share of the $10 billion that the state will distribute through Prop 2. Sierra Unified School District is not unique in having older buildings that are over 70 years old. More than 1 out of 3 students in California attend schools that don't meet minimal standards. The state of California realizes this is a statewide issue, and Prop 2 attempts to provide state monies to correct this situation. Of the $10 billion Prop 2 provides, $7.5 billion will be used for K through 12 schools, and $2.5 billion towards community colleges. Many of the statements on the Prop 2 website describe the same issues we have: a project backlog, leaky roofs, and malfunctioning bathrooms are not just a Sierra Unified challenge, but a fact across the state. We are happy to report that Prop 2 and Measure U share the same public disclosure and accountability requirements. Of the $10 billion Prop 2 will provide, $730 million of that is set aside for small schools and districts. Of this, $330 million is allocated to new construction, and $400 million is allocated to modernization. The funds from Prop 2 will be distributed on a first-come, first-served basis and submitted and approved per project, requiring multiple applications, which are complex. The competition up and down the state will be intense for these dollars, so it makes it hard to predict just how much we'll get. The district is preparing for these applications now, but obviously can't do anything until Measure U hopefully passes, along with the passage of Prop 2 on a statewide level. There are provisions in Prop 2 to make it fairer for districts like ours, including set-aside dollars for small school districts and older schools, both of which apply to us. That concluded the slide presentation, and after the slide presentation, we had a panel of experts that answered questions from the audience. Thank you for taking the time to look at these YouTube videos. We put a lot of effort in trying to be as transparent and provide as much information as possible, and we appreciate any input the community has